Oh, by the way, I just realized Brian Walshe is sitting there in handcuffs. You can at least take the guy's handcuffs off. Do you really think he's like a flight risk? You must follow the law. The law says...
Glorious. Is it a lawsuit? Probably. Why not?
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to Buckle Up, It's the Law with attorney Larry Forman. Folks, today we're going to conclude the Yuri Bukhenik testimony in the Brian Walshe murder case, the disappearance of Anna Walshe, his wife, from January of 2023. And very soon we're going to dive right into Donna Adelson. So I hope you guys are buckled up, and let's get right into it.
Judge, at this time I may introduce this report. No objection, Your Honor.
22, marked and admitted as Exhibit 22.
Specifically, Sergeant, in that report that now is Exhibit 22, you specifically say the agreement was put into writing by Norfolk District Attorney's First Assistant Lynn Beelan, correct?
Yes, I do.
Remember, we're diving right into potential evidence, namely the searches on the iPad of the 6-year-old that may have to be excluded from the jury's purview if they were obtained without consent and in violation of Mr. Walsh's Fourth Amendment right to be free of unlawful search and seizure.
The agreement, you're referring to the email that's been introduced into evidence, correct?
That is correct.
There's nothing in the agreement that uses the phrase marital privilege, is there?
No, sir.
There's nothing in your conversations that you put in your report that was to document this agreement. There's no reference to marital privilege, is there?
I'm sorry, there was two things you asked about. There was no mention of marital privilege outside of the statement about excluding communications between Anna and Brian Walshe.
And the phrase marital privilege does not appear in your report that's been introduced as Exhibit 22?
No.
And it doesn't appear in the, quote, agreement email that's been introduced into evidence?
That statement does not appear, no.
And the only thing that is referenced, the only subject matter that's referenced in the email agreement is, quote, communications. Isn't
That's the only subject matter that needed to be carved out of the full extraction.
That wasn't my question. My question was the only subject matter that is referenced in the agreement is communications, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Do you know, Sergeant, do you know when Mr. Walshe first talked to Tracy Minor, his attorney, about the request to search his phone?
I have no idea.
And do you know, Sergeant Bukhenik, when Tracy Minor, Attorney Tracy Minor, and Assistant District Attorney Lynn Beelan first began discussing the request to search Mr. Walsh's phone?
I would strictly be speculating when they first began. My only knowledge is to the email being sent from Lynn.
Have you talked to Assistant District Attorney, now retired, Lynn Beelan, regarding this agreement prior to this hearing?
I have no memory of talking to her about this agreement.
So the government, the Commonwealth, has not asked you to go talk to retired Assistant District Attorney Lynn Beelan and say, what did you and Attorney Tracy Minor agree to? You haven't been asked to do that.
No, sir.
Now, it's fair to say that there are consent to search forms used routinely by the Mass State Police, correct?
The forms.
Yes, sir.
The consent forms.
And those consent to search forms...
You can tell how Yuri is getting a little agitated. He's like, yeah, we didn't do that, did we? Well, he can't say, like, yes, we did, because you didn't. It's either you have or you haven't, you know? So if you haven't, you may have screwed the pooch on this one, Yuri.
They require information to be entered on the form. It includes the person giving consent and the officer taking the consent, correct?
Yes, it is.
And they also include an area where you describe what is going to be searched, correct?
There's detailed explanation on the forms, yes.
And it's signed and dated by the person giving consent and a witness, correct?
Yes, sir.
And the reason for this is to make sure that people understand what consent was given, that it was given voluntarily, and what the parameters of any consent were, correct?
That is the purpose behind us reading those consent forms to the individuals we're getting the consent from.
And you didn't use one in this case.
No, sir.
There it is.
And it's fair to say that you certainly had an opportunity to use one because you were at the home on January 5th of 2023 prior to any consent being given and any agreement being made, correct?
I was at the home at that point. I did not ask for consent on the 5th.
It's so easy to just go and get the form. Just go get the form. Get it signed. If you got the consent, you're going to have no problem getting a signature. The only reason you're having so much trouble on the stand getting grilled, Yuri, is because you didn't follow basic proper procedure. Basic, elementary, rudimentary stuff. Like, this is just embarrassing.
Yeah,
You may.
I'm going to show you a document, not from this case, I'm not representing. But is it fair to say that that is an accurate representation of the consent to search form that's used by the Mass State Police?
Although it does appear as a form that's generated by the state police, that's not the form we use, so I can't represent that this is what we would have used.
What is different from that form you're looking at now and the form that you say would be used by the Mass State Police?
Well, there's a lot of different characteristics of the form itself, just the way it appears, the way it's presented, the bottom portion as well. It's just slightly different.
Can I ask you then, Sergeant Bukhenik, is it fair to say that that form, substantively, whatever form you're referring to, the consent to search form, would have included exactly what that form's asking for? Name of the person giving consent, a witness to sign on it, informing the person of their right to refuse consent, but also listing what and describing what is to be searched?
I would agree with you, yes.
So, with that caveat, I would move to agreements.
Your Honor, I'd object. If counsel wants, I'm happy to get a copy of their form they generate.
Why don't we do that? We'll have the form that they actually might be using now as opposed to that form. There's no dispute with regard to the contents of the form. He didn't fight you on that. He agrees with you. It's in evidence. You don't need the form that he's not familiar with.
And I'll get a blank one and we'll stipulate to it as an exhibit.
That sounds terrific.
Okay, problem solved, I guess.
You didn't ask for, you asked for what? Oh, previously?
I apologize to counsel. I have no memory of the mass report. I will make sure that
We can reach agreement on this, I'm sure.
Oh, by the way, I just realized Brian Walshe is sitting there in handcuffs. I mean, I understand it's a hearing, but like, you can at least take the guy's handcuffs off. Does he really look like a threat? Do you really think he's like a flight risk? I was not expecting to see handcuffs on him. He's just sitting at counsel table. Okay, I mean, whatever. Maybe that's the procedure of the courtroom or whatever, but I hope, God forbid, if there's a jury trial, the handcuffs will come off, because that is extremely prejudicial. And there's actually a case law out there that says, I believe, if I remember correctly, there was an individual who showed up in an orange jumpsuit and was tried and convicted, and the Court of Appeals or the Supreme Court said, no. You're coloring the defendant. The jury already looks at them in the orange jumpsuit, and they're like, oh, well, they're clearly guilty. Look at them. They're already sitting in prison, because there was no pretrial release or they couldn't afford the bond or whatever. That's not okay. Now, this is just a hearing. This is not trial or anything. But still, handcuffs? I don't know. It seems a little excessive, but hey, who am I to judge?
With regards to the agreement, there's nothing in the agreement email that has been produced as an exhibit that references anything about search histories, correct?
No, that specific term is not in the email.
And there's nothing in the email about location data, correct?
That's correct.
And once again, the only subject matter that's referenced in that email agreement is, quote, communications, correct?
Yes, as what to be excluded, yes.
Well, when you say what to be excluded, it's just, and I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but this will be my last question on this particular subject. The email agreement makes reference to what communication will be limited, and it makes specific reference to certain attorney-client conversations, communications, and communications between Mr. Walshe and Anna Walshe, correct?
That is what to be limited during the search and analysis of the device's data.
It certainly doesn't say, does it? Anywhere in that agreement that the agreement is that everything that's downloaded can be reviewed and analyzed, correct? It doesn't say that in the agreement.
It does not specify that.
No scope. No
And it's
limitations.
important, isn't it? Just like that form
Yeah.
that you were talking about a moment ago.
Yeah.
It's important, isn't it, to be very specific in any written agreement
Yes.
as to what the terms of the agreement are.
The scope and the limitations of the you can't just download everything and look at everything. That's not how search warrants work. That's not how agreements work. You are limited in scope, magnitude, etc. as to what and how much of it you're going to be able to obtain. If they're just like, you know what, let's just sweep and get the whole thing, that is going to be another violation. And here's the kicker, folks. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, that there was this agreement and they could have obtained, one iPad and one cell phone, and they got them. Okay, and they got some other stuff, and let's say that's going to be excluded. But if there's no scope and they just got everything under the sun, the defense has another argument by saying due to the lack of parameters on the search of the devices, everything must be excluded because there was no agreement as to what shall and shall not be searched. That could also preclude the government from using even the devices that they lawfully had an agreement to obtain. Wow, that is a botched job. Holy mother of God.
Right?
I'm not surprised.
It's important to understand
But I'm
what is
stunned.
being done. Our verbal communications
Look at 'em.
mentioned phone extractions. That means all of the data on the phone. And what was to be limited based on our verbal communication, then subsequently put into email form, was the communications between client and attorney and Mr. and Mrs. Walshe.
See, he's scrambling. He's trying. He's like, well, we should have. We had the right. Like he's stumbling across his own words, and it's.
But that's the way you're interpreting the content of this email that
Correct.
you did not write and did not respond to. That's fair, isn't it?
For the latter portion, yes, I did not write this email, nor did I respond to it. But the verbal agreement on the phone with Attorney Minor was that we would do a full system data extraction on the devices provided that were consented to.
That's your memory.
Yes, it is.
And your memory is that the agreement also included all of Mr. Walsh's cell phone, all of the children's cell phone, and all of the children's iPad.
No, my memory was that the devices I knew about was Mr. Walsh's cell phone that was missing, the children's cell phone that was in Mr. Walsh's vehicle, and the iPad referenced to by the 6-year-old, which was fixed by Anna. That's why the communication with Tracy Minor was about 2 cell phones with the iPad thrown in on top of those 2 devices.
Sergeant Bukhenik, just on that particular answer and question. The second sentence in your report that you wrote, that's dated January 6, 2023, you wrote specifically, during numerous phone conversations, we established a verbal agreement for the digital evidence extraction of devices belonging to and being used by Brian Walshe and his juvenile children to include Thomas Walshe, 6-year-old, Thomas Walsh's 6-year-old. Those include his cell phones and his minor children's cell phones and tablets, correct?
If that's verbatim from my report, that is what's written.
So my question that I asked you just a moment ago was your memory of the agreement. Was it involved all of those devices, not just the 2 that we're talking about?
My conversation with Attorney Minor was for the 2 cell phones I knew existed and were referenced.
So why did you put all those other devices in your report that you
Yes.
wrote specifically about the agreement?
Yes.
I don't understand.
Why
Yeah,
did
you
you
don't
refer-
understand because you just got caught in screwing up a case. That's why you don't understand. Wow, this is great. This is gold.
To all of those devices in the one single report that you wrote and referred to it as the agreement. Why did you include all of the devices?
Because there was knowledge of other devices existing.
So?
So there was Diana's statement that she purchased cell phones for all the children,
Okay.
Okay, and?
and iPads and AirTags, etc. So
oh my God.
there were other electronic devices that could have come into play.
You would agree. wouldn't you,
Just
Sergeant?
watching him squirm is like everything I needed today. Everything I needed today.
Bukhenik, that there is some real ambiguity between what you stated as the content of the agreement in your report and that email that has been introduced into it.
I don't think it's ambiguous, no.
Huh. Really? I think you're the only one with that opinion, Yuri.
Were you present at the home, Mr. Walsh's home, on January 6th of 2023?
I don't remember going to the home. I might have been. I don't remember going to the home. I know I was at the command post. There was other missions I was conducting. I don't have a specific memory of being at the house. If you have a specific question about maybe what transpired, I could give you an answer.
Do you know that there were numerous searches conducted at the house on January 6th?
I know that the CERT team and the dive team conducted searches around the home. I was not present for those searches. I was at the command post.
And you weren't there because you were in D.C. on January 7th?
That's correct. Early morning, January 7th, I left for D.C.
Just so I'm following along, the date that you were using was 1/6.
Yes, from when searches were conducted.
Right, but he left on 1/7.
Right. He's not
Could have been there, but he's at the outpost. I just want to make sure I'm trying to follow along with what the evidence is and that you're not missing up the dates. That's why I'm asking you.
I could be messing up the dates. I'll be the
I
first to
don't know.
admit that.
I'll
But
let you go.
let me just say,
giving you the opportunity to correct it if I've got something wrong. But I've raised it.
I
and
appreciate
maybe
it.
I'm the one that has it wrong.
when did you leave for D.C. on January 7th?
Early morning hours. I don't know the exact time of the flight. Could have been 8, 9 a.m. But I never responded to Cohasset. I went from my...
So you were not at the home on January 7th?
No, sir, I was not.
And you're not sure if you were at the home on January 6th?
I do not have a specific memory of being there. I might have...
But we can all agree you were there on January 5th.
Yes, sir.
Were you there?
I said it in the previous video. I just want to say it in this video. Those glitches, I do apologize on their behalf. This has nothing to do with me. This is on their end.
On
So I apologize.
January 8th.
No, I was not.
Did you negotiate, as you call it, the agreement? Did you negotiate the dates that are involved?
The person wants us to exclude would be excluded. Brian Walshe was eager to help us find Anna. The same sentiment was felt by me from Tracy Minor. She was trying to help while conducting her responsibilities as a defense attorney. So that was my understanding based on our conversation.
But was it your understanding that regardless of the communications that are referenced in there, attorney-client communications and communications between Mr. Walshe and Anna Walshe, that in fact there was a temporal limit placed on any search of the devices?
Can you rephrase that
And
question?
by the way, for the record, I just want to give a shout out to the trial channel for providing this footage. Thank you, guys.
Please,
For all the work you do.
the temporal limit, I just want to make sure I understand correctly.
That in fact there was a date of 12/25/2022 that the search parameter would begin, and there was an ending date of January 6, 2023 of the search parameter when the search would end. Are you aware of that?
I am aware of the date that we couldn't go back past, and that was the 25th. So we couldn't search for communications between client and attorney before the 25th, as well as Mr. and Mrs. Walsh's communications.
And I guess what I heard you say was that it wasn't you that suggested 12/25, correct?
Right. I wouldn't have a reason to pick a date. That date, other than being Christmas, it made had no significance to me.
And it wasn't you who picked the date of January 6, 2023.
I believe it was present. So the term used was present.
On direct examination, you used the word documentation in the context of what Attorney Tracy Minor asked for. You remember that?
Yes.
Was it documentation regarding what the agreement was?
She just wanted to put in writing, so we needed to document what the specifics were.
And was it also documentation about what, in fact, searches were conducted and how they were conducted?
No, we didn't discuss the details of the searches. She just wanted specific things excluded from the analysis and the searching of the data from those devices. And that is what was documented by First Assistant Lynn Bueling. And she agreed to it.
That's all I have, Judge. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, that's the conclusion of the cross, and now we have just about a minute and a half of redirect by the prosecutor, and that's going to conclude Yuri.
Redirect.
Walshe hearing.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sergeant, what memory do you have of Attorney Minor mentioning marital privilege in your conversation?
No memory whatsoever.
The scene that was mentioned, where does the district attorney's office and the state police do those forensic examinations of children?
To the best of my knowledge, at NAC in Foxborough, if I'm not mistaken.
And do you have any certifications in cell phone analysis?
I do.
And what certifications do you have?
I have a Celebrite basic course. It's a week-long course with certification.
So when you say the term digital evidence extraction, what significance does that have as far as celebrating your understanding?
It's a full file system download, basically a copy of what the device contains for data and information on it that's then transferred onto a processing computer with an exact copy. Then Celebrite parses out certain information that's either labeled or carved out if it has been deleted and no longer assigned a value that is of significance.
Did Attorney Minor request a consent form?
No, she did not.
The witness may step down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Did the attorney minor request a consent form? I love that he just kind of throws in like a. It seems like an innocuous question. Did she request a consent form? No. Oh well, so we don't need one. Yes, you do. It doesn't matter that the attorney, the prosecutor, whoever you were dealing with, was like, oh, don't worry about the consent form. The attorney could have literally said, don't get a consent form, and it would still be wrong. It doesn't matter what the attorney's opinion is, the prosecutor's opinion is. All that matters is that procedures must be followed. The law must be followed. You fail to follow the law, you lose. That's the end of the day. I mean, like that's it. That's it. There is no magic here. The law is the law is the law. That's how it works. Oh, wow, folks. That was something. That was something. We have Keefe, Guarino, and Schmidt coming up over the next couple of weeks. And, of course, Donna Adelson. So be on the lookout for those videos, and I will see you all in the next video. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed it. And I love every single one of you. Bye, everybody.